Hi guys, so let's get started on our conversation of Pearl Harbor. This is like shaking around. So Pearl Harbor, as you can see, happened December 7th. Oops, let me get that up. December 7th, 1941. I need a selfie stick. Send a selfie stick. Okay, December 7th, 1941. And it starts, honestly, way back when the war even started in Europe. Similar to what was going on in World War I, World War II, the United States was still helping out the Allied powers. They were sending money and supplies to not only Great Britain and France, but also to China, because keep in mind, Japan is trying to invade China and trying to control Chinese resources. So they're also sending supplies to China, and it's just kind of eating at like Japan. So they're still helping out the Allied powers, even though they were not actually in the war. Franklin D. Roosevelt had just won the election of 1940, and he still promised to maintain neutrality for the United States. Okay, moving on. Keep in mind of what happened between Germany and Russia. You have the non-aggression pact, okay? Germany violates it. I mean, we all kind of saw that one coming. Germany is going to violate the non-aggression pact, and it's going to lead to the USSR joining the Allied powers. So the United States was kind of hesitant, considering that, the Soviets are a communist country, but they still provided aid to the Allied powers, including Soviet Russia. Okay? Now, that's kind of like, well, what does that have to do with Japan? Keep in mind, Germany and Japan are allies. Furthermore, the United States is also kind of just really sending supplies to China, and we already spoke about with their aid of the Allied powers and can you guys see it? And the Lend-Lease Act. And in doing so, ultimately, in July of 1941, I think it's like better that way. July of 1941, the U.S. establishes an embargo, which basically is on Japan, and stating that we're no longer going to trade with Japan. So Japan had already planned this attack on the United States because of the sole fact that they had economic interest in not only invading China and taking over Chinese markets, but also and controlling Hawaii and controlling that area of the Pacific. There was huge economic interest. If they were to control the Pacific, they were going to be able to get those natural resources, more so oil, and be able to ultimately control that area of the world. Remember, this is Imperial Japan. They're trying to exert their power. Ultimately, this was kind of like the last little straw that broke the camel's back. Like I said, Japan was already planning a huge attack on the United States. This occurred 7:55 a.m. I don't know if you guys can see it. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Ultimately, December 8th, 1941, the U.S. enters World War II. So now the U.S. is in World War II. And that's pretty much Pearl Harbor in 3 minutes.